So I know you read Goop Staffers. The first was Caitlin.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what happened?
Okay, I do have a female figure coming in on my upper right-hand screen. So that's mom's side of the family. It feels very motherly to me. I'm trying to pull that through a little bit more. I'm also hearing happy birthday. Is there a birthday coming up in the family?
Hers.
Okay, all right.
It's tomorrow.
Okay. She tells me that she came here as your mom, but you were the more evolved soul that taught her so many lessons about love. I need to say it that way. And she's thanking you for agreeing to be her daughter.
I've had readings before, so I didn't anticipate getting so emotional.
It baffles me to see that there are people out there who still believe that psychic mediums are actually talking to the dead. I figured after the South Park episode where they expose how all this stuff works, that people would be done with it. Anyway, this clip is from a Netflix show called The Goop Lab with Gwyneth Paltrow. Some of you might recognize Goop as Gwyneth Paltrow's scam company that falsely claimed that their overpriced magic stickers had space technology inside of them that helps you heal faster. Now, as someone who has experienced the whole Los Angeles yoga/holistic scene, I have a lot of first-hand knowledge of this nonsense. There are tons of people out there who think things like crystal singing bowls cure cancer because that's what the ancients did. Seriously, some of these people are really easy to fool. That's not to say that all holistic stuff is bad. There are actually a lot of good things that these places promote. Eat healthy, exercise, learn proper breath control, get sunlight, sleep, don't do drugs, fix your posture, and maybe invest in some ergonomic equipment for the office. That being said, there is also a lot of bullshit that these people promote, and Goop hits every single one of them. Essential oils, power crystals, oxygen bars, overpriced vitamins, overpriced cleanses, sound therapy, and bullshit exercises with 3-pound weights that have no functionality, claiming that they will tone your body. The real problem here is that very often to convince people, you don't have to be telling the truth. If you are attractive, if you have a confident voice, or if you say things in a certain way, then people will just assume that you are being honest. If you don't know how to spot them, then the tricks that these people use will work because they are playing with human psychology. The fortunate thing is that these liars all use the same tricks. Even more fortunately is that these liars are using tricks that all liars use, so what you learn here can be applied elsewhere. One of the most prominent tricks that psychics or snake oil salesmen use is lack of specificity. The less specific the liar has to be, the better. In the holistic market, they give you the most generic symptoms that literally everyone has, like, are you ever tired? Do you get brain fog? Have you ever been angry before? Well, that's because of toxins. Our expensive cleanse removes those toxins, which revitalizes your energy and makes you a happier person. Okay, but what the hell is a toxin? They can never tell you, and they have been pulling this crap since at least the 70s. Psychic mediums do basically the same thing. They throw out a bunch of general themes that apply to pretty much everyone, and then they let the victim of their scam fill in the blanks. This apparently is so easy to do that a person with what I assume was 1 day of training can trick people into believing that she has spiritual powers. Here is a clip that shows the results of professional psychic medium Laura Lynn Jackson teaching the Goop staff how to speak to the energy of an object and make guesses about its importance.
Can you share what you got?
Yeah, so I don't know why.
What the object was?
It's this awesome dog. For some reason, I felt like this was given to you for like a birthday, but it wasn't supposed to be super sentimental, but then it like became sentimental from losing what you lost, which I don't know exactly what that is. And it also felt like a very sisterly relationship. And it was something that was like totally like sudden and unavoidable. Your loss. It felt very like, kind of like, what? And like very out of left field. And something with an M, I don't know. I kept hearing like M popping up. So I don't know if that's like name or city or like something with an M.
Go back and replay that clip if you want, but I defy you to find one thing that this person Kelly said about the picture of the dog that was specific to the person that she was talking to. She starts off by saying that the object wasn't meant to be sentimental, but then it became sentimental. What object isn't? A requirement of sentimentality is nostalgia, and nothing is nostalgic when you first receive it. Kelly also mentioned that there was some kind of sudden and unavoidable loss in the Asian girl Dwi's life. By her age, who hasn't suffered a sudden and unavoidable loss? Kelly was describing death, and that's typically how death works. Last, Kelly says that there is something with an M, a name or a city, I don't know. Okay, pick any random letter in the alphabet, ask a gullible person to fill in the blank, and that trick will always work.
So the M, that dog's name is Muffin. That's her name.
So we are supposed to believe that Kelly is psychic, yet she can't even tell us something as basic as the name of the dog.
Why there's like the sister. My brother who passed away gave that to my sister. And then you were saying like, you know, unavoidable or life happening and like sudden. Those are all things that describe his passing.
Again, whose eventual death is avoidable? How many people die suddenly? Most people don't get 2 weeks' notice before their family member dies, especially if they're in their 20s like her brother was.
And I pictured someone in their like 20s, and there was something to me like either breathing or like allergies or something like along like some allergy for some reason.
Kelly mentioned allergy was one of the first things. And the story behind that is my brother was allergic to dogs and cat fur, so we couldn't get a dog for the longest time.
This, yet again, is a big no shit situation. In a different part of the episode, the Asian girl Dwi was like, "Oh my god, I never even speak to Kelly at work, but she knows so much about me." Dwi, the dog, is a hypoallergenic dog. Anyone could have guessed that.
Oh my god.
I was like, wow, like physically like taken aback.
I mean, Miss Medium over there.
Yeah,
Congratulations,
really.
Kelly, you're a medium.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was one thing on your list that didn't apply.
Actually, she got 2 things wrong. I'll get to that, but first, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Dr. Be Real, and his 2-volume book, Surviving Fourth Wave Feminism. Surviving Fourth Wave Feminism is a book that shows the reader the techniques that feminists use to obtain power and take control over society. It's written in plain English, and it's written in a way that makes it so anyone can understand how feminism works. You can purchase your copy of Surviving Fourth Wave Feminism, Volumes 1 and 2, on Amazon.com with the link below the video. Now back to the psychic reading. Kelly says that the picture of the dog was given to Dwi on her birthday, but Dwi says the picture was actually given to her sister. So, Kelly was wrong. The second thing that Kelly got wrong is that she said Dwi lost a sisterly relationship that was sudden and unavoidable. Dwi didn't lose her sister, she lost her brother, so Kelly was wrong again. Did Dwi catch that? Of course not. She believes that psychic powers are real, so she doesn't think to criticize her beliefs. Therefore, the trick works. And that's an important thing to point out because liars are really, really good at avoiding criticism. Some of them are so good at distracting you from criticizing them that they can even fool scientists. There is a Joe Rogan episode with a magician named Bitchute who did an experiment on some scientists to see if he could get them to believe that he was psychic. Bitchute and his magician friends were able to fool scientists for several years into believing that they were psychic. The only reason the scientists figured it out was because Bitchute felt bad and told them that he was lying. If you understand human psychology, then you can get very, very good at deceiving people. In this next scene, Goop's professional psychic, Laura Lynn Jackson, comes back to read company skeptic Anna to see if she can get Anna to believe in psychic powers.
First thing I want to say is are there twins in the family or like a Gemini like birthday? What is that, June?
No.
I keep seeing like 2 back to back. It's very
Back to back.
like I feel like I want to talk about twins.
I'm trying to think. No.
Okay, I'm gonna tell them to come back to me with that in another way later, if that's
Okay.
important. Okay.
In sales, Anna's response is called an objection. An objection is when you have a product that you want to sell and the customer doesn't want to buy it, so they say no for whatever reason. When customers say no, salespeople have all kinds of routines they can run to cancel that objection to try to get the customer to say yes. Laura does this beautifully in her reading. She was completely wrong in her assertions about Anna's life, but then she says, you know what? Let's come back to that later, if it's important. This is a fantastic line to cancel an objection. It distracts her client from the fact that she was wrong, and if she never comes back to it, then she can say, well, I guess the twin thing wasn't that important.
Is there like a funny story or a picture about a donkey, or is there something with Shrek? I'm seeing, is there anything with like a trip to Mexico? This is my psychic charade part, and I'm seeing like a donkey, and I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say about it. I'm gonna tell him to come back to me with it in another way later.
There, she does it again. I'll come back to that later. Just forget that I was wrong about Shrek. Wow, I hope that all the psychics aren't this inaccurate. Laura literally gets nothing right when she reads Anna. Maybe there's some sort of explanation for that.
Hey, Laura. This is really strange. I think you're actually reading Lindsay right now.
That can happen. This is the problem with...
That's what I figured.
So those first people who came in were yours, right?
Yeah, my grandma's a Jew.
Oh, come on, guys. This is the exact thing that they did in the South Park episode about John Edward. If your guesswork isn't working with one member of the audience, then move on to someone else who it does work with. Are these people that devoid of critical thinking skills? How bad are other parts of their lives if they can't see through this obvious fraud? They must not criticize any of their beliefs ever.
You did exactly the right thing because you're never supposed to try and make it fit or claim it if it's not yours, you know? But it's always my job just to deliver the messages, but sometimes I don't even know. But it's interesting, too, when there are a lot of people around that will happen.
That's so crazy.
Okay, so then just record them in a room with only them and do everything all over. That should fix the problem. I mean, it's a pretty obvious solution. Why didn't the Goop staff do that? She is a real psychic, so it shouldn't matter.
Psychic abilities, mediumship, oh, that's got to all be, fraudulent. The truth is, this is real.
That's really unfair that this whole group of people are being categorized as unethical and fraudulent.
Right.
Maybe it's because they are unethical and fraudulent. Laura and her crony also say that there is no research on this stuff. Bullshit. James Randi and his foundation from 1996 to 2015 offered a $1 million prize to anyone who could prove they had supernatural or paranormal powers. Surprise, surprise, no one ever claimed it. Here's a guy named Michael Marshall. He and his team did some studies where they found out that, yet again, surprise, surprise, none of the people who said they were psychic were actually psychic. These people's last defense is always, well, come on, what harm does it do? Psychics are helping people cope with death, even if they aren't telling the truth. Well, what about Sylvia Brown, who on the Montel Williams show told a mother that her daughter was dead, but it turned out that the daughter was still alive? She had been kidnapped for 10 years. Was Sylvia helpful? Of course she wasn't. These people are just trying to justify their scam. Living inside of lies does not help people. Truth is a mechanism by which you solve problems. Sure, you can lie to yourself and pretend those problems don't exist, but then you'll just have a bunch of terrible things happen to you without knowing why. Nature does not care whether you're prepared or whether it's fair or not. Bad things will happen to you if you aren't honest and critical about your situation. If you are honest about the problem, then you can at least mitigate it, if not have total control over the situation. So what's happening with all these scam artists is that by their actions, they are teaching people to not look for specific answers to their problems, and they are teaching people to not criticize their beliefs. They are even giving them validation for doing so. Look at the validation that Laura gave the production assistant for playing into her scam. That will have a cascading effect on her life that will cause her to not criticize other parts of her life or specify problems. That's a big deal because specifying problems is important. How else do you know if you actually fix something if you don't narrow down the thing that you're trying to fix? Criticism is also important. How else do you figure out what's wrong with you? Frauds like the psychic Laura Lynn Jackson rob people of those things, and that's why they are bad people. But with that said, I think that will be enough for this video. So if you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, comment and share. If you would like to support this channel, then you can do so with PayPal, Patreon, or Subscribestar. You can find all of those links in the description. Last, if you haven't checked me out on Facebook, Bitchute, or Twitter, you can also find those in the description. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.